Hey, good evening. Yeah, this is Richard again. I haven't been online in a while, and I just wanted to get back into the swing of things and let folks know that I'm still out there. I wanted to talk about an interesting article I just saw on the internet today, and it's pretty indicative of what's going on in our society. I call it federal creep. As far as CREEP, the federal government creeping into every aspect of our lives. Not only the federal government, talking about state governments and not so much with local governments, but I saw this internet news bit on New York. Now they want to pass a law up there which prevents cooks or chefs from using any salt in their recipes, period. Now, what is this? I mean, don't lawmakers have something else better to do than regulate on what chefs can do with their recipes or not? Come on. This is a choice that we make every day. If I want to put salt on my already salted McDonald's fries, then I want to put salt on them. That's my choice, okay? But this goes beyond that. You need to think about this. If, and this is in New York City, where they want to pass this law here, but I guess it's New York City. I'm not sure if it's all New York, but I know it's New York City. But this is indicative of what the government, they've gotten too big. They're in every aspect of our lives now. Okay, I'm telling you. This is just one of the things that I've seen in the past. Now they're talking about, adding tax on sodas. Another good example is I read somewhere, or I saw somewhere, that in the state of Oregon, they are contemplating putting GPS devices on vehicles so they can collect a tax on the amount of mileage that you drive on your car. They kind of found out that when the price of gas goes up, people do less driving, so they purchase less gas, and then again the local, state, and federal government loses those taxes on the gas that's not being purchased anymore because of the high price. And it goes to show you that local governments, state governments, and the federal government, when they lose a source of revenue, do they cut back? No, they don't cut back. They find other ways to collect that revenue or make up for that lost revenue. And, I mean, just it goes on. Everything from soda tax to your taxes on your energy. People would be amazed if they read their pay and earning statements, how much money comes out of their paycheck right off the bat. And then if they paid attention to everything else that the local, state, and federal government collects on taxes, like, we'll go for gasoline for one, or liquor, or cigarettes. There's a good example right there. One way that the government has deemed as a cash cow is to tax cigarettes, and they've raised taxes on cigarettes. Now, I won't say every year, but every so often they raise the taxes on cigarettes. Now, I'm not a smoker or anything like that, but what happens is there's a tipping point for some people. I mean, it just depends on the person's income level. At one point, they're not going to be able to afford cigarettes. Guess what? They don't buy no more cigarettes, which, in the end result, they lose that revenue from that person not purchasing cigarettes anymore. Do they cut back on their spending? No. They find another way to get the money out of our pockets. Okay? I get dismayed every time I see the government put their hands on something. okay? Because you can bet your bottom dollar the government first is not a business, okay? They're an entity that just spends money, or well, let me rephrase that. They collect money and they spend it. They don't have to worry about the bottom line, okay? Like a business. I run a small business on the side of my job, and I've got to count my pennies just everywhere. Anything that I do, everything from postage. We're trying to find the best possible price for my customers. I got to source my products and find the best possible price. Any way that I can cut costs, I'm looking for that, because I want to, increase my customer base. And if I have high prices, I'm not going to get any additional customers. Okay, and that's on that is on the forefront of every business person's mind. Any way to save costs, okay, reduce costs, okay. We want to increase our profits, so we got to look at the bottom line here and save costs. Unlike the government, they don't worry about that. They just worry about collecting the money, and once they get the money, they spend it. Now, I just saw another news article on the stimulus money that they built some, or I think it was in Washington State, where they did some artwork of some salmons along the roadway or something like that. And although the amount wasn't horrifically high in the grand scheme of things as far as the U.S. federal government, I mean, it could have been, I can't remember what it was, maybe $100,000 or so, to put this artwork along the highway. It created no jobs, but it's indicative of what the federal government does. They have no control over how they spend that money. They just spend it like a bunch of drunk sailors. And we need to stop this, and we need to stop this now. We need to go right to our representatives in Congress, in the Senate, and we got to hold the president accountable too. We are tired of having our pockets picked. Okay? I'm tired of it. I'm getting sick and tired. Every time you turn the corner, you see some stupid way that our taxpayer dollars are being spent. And now, some of these things are really big ticket items, and some of them are small. But the end result is me, you, your friends, your family, we all pay taxes. And they're taking us for granted. So let's let Congress, the Senate, and the President know we ain't taking it no more. This is Richard, and I'm out of here.